lá fui eu para Nova York, atrás da excelência de Vladimir Kanevsky, um escultor de porcelana que é realmente um mestre na arte que desenvolve. Algo que eu sempre fiz no meu trabalho de artista foi pesquisa. Sempre eu viajei muito e sempre me interessei em conhecer mais profundamente as técnicas, as formas de trabalho e de vida dos artistas, mas principalmente a forma como pensam essas pessoas. Por trás de todo profissional há um ser humano, e é com eles, com a parte humana deles, que eu aprendo mais, pois eles são o diferencial de suas próprias obras. O trabalho do Vladimir é algo de tirar o fôlego. Quem modela cerâmica sabe dos desafios dessa arte, e olhar para essas flores e pensar que foram esculpidas em barro, em massa de porcelana, é mesmo algo que merece uma reverência. E as minhas viagens de pesquisa atrás desses artistas maravilhosos são exatamente isso. Uma reverência à maestria na execução da arte que cada um deles se propôs a fazer. A maestria que veio após lutas, dificuldades, o esforço e o trabalho. É isso que vocês poderão ver nessa conversa que eu tive com ele. E prestem muita atenção, pois não é qualquer dia que temos a oportunidade de conversar com um artista desse nível. Então, lá foi ela atrás de Vladimir Kanevsky.
I think the first thing everybody wants to know is how you became a flower sculptor.
It just happened. I came to the United States, and I'm an architect by education, and I worked as an architect for a long time. But the last several years in the Soviet Union, I became more like a sculptor. I started to make decorative sculpture, and it was figurative sculpture, people and everything. And I just started to do it and left for the United States. And when I came here, I wanted to sculpt people and make like real sculpture. And so it happened that I met Howard Slotkin, the well-known decorator here, and he asked me if I can make melon out of porcelain. And I've never before made melons and never before used porcelain.
Oh, really?
I had no idea about
You used to
porcelain.
work with what kind of clay or what kind
With
of sculpture?
clay, and I occasionally I fired it, but it's completely different thing, and it was in the Soviet Union. So I said yes, of course I know how to do it, and of course I didn't know. And I bought a kiln and started to experiment, and I made my first melon, porcelain melon, in a month and a half, and it was rather funny, funny melon. I don't know about history.
So you start to...
And I started making porcelain, and then I remember it was really bad because the clay was wrong, the kiln was wrong, and I learned while going. And at some point I thought, why don't I make a porcelain plate and paint butterflies on them, by the way. And I made porcelain plate. It took me about 2 days to make one plate. It was about 1 inch, like 2 centimeters thick.
I know.
Very heavy and rather ugly, but it was the first plate, and then I started from making plates and
painted?
Yes, and I painted over glazed paint. And then at some point, after a year probably, I thought, why don't I make a flower out of porcelain? Because I saw, of course, flowers from 18th century, and I made my first porcelain flower. It was a really funny flower. It was a carnation, bright blue carnation. I don't know why bright blue, and with long stem because I couldn't, I didn't know how to solder things. So it was first experiment, and then I made, I decided to make porcelain lily of the valley.
This is
And I
tough.
spent the whole day sculpting it. It's like, it was, the whole thing was porcelain, stems, leaves, everything was
Really?
porcelain. That's what I started actually. And it was, I couldn't stop because if you stop it dries and you cannot do anything. And after that I needed to fire it, and my kiln was too small for this piece, and I put it on its side and put it in the kiln and spent all night firing because I needed to switch the kiln. It was not automatic.
The temperature.
To rise the temperature. When I opened the kiln, not in the morning, the next day, my lily of the valley was like flat.
Oh my
It
God.
was squashed under its weight. Also because the clay wasn't good at all. It was like horrible. Not even white.
But you didn't stop. Thank God you
No,
didn't stop it.
it was such a huge thing that I snapped off all the bad parts, and eventually it was lily of the valley of this size, really small, like 10 centimeters. And it was acceptable. And I put it in the little pot, and amazingly it was kind of almost iconic piece, because after that I had like literally hundreds of orders for this small lily of the valley, of course on different level. I made a lot for Dior, and the first one, the small, Charlotte Moss bought.
Oh, I see.
And we became friends after that. It was another funny story how it happened. But I didn't know about it for some time, just because I sold the pieces in Slatkin's shop. And the second lily of the valley was with metal.
With metal
and,
parts.
And yes, and
the stems.
Flower. And I had to say that at first I didn't know how to make the flowers itself. How to make them, what's the technique. And I tried a lot of different things.
So you learn by yourself.
Exactly.
Because this was one of the questions I want to make to you. You learn by yourself,
by
trying
myself
and making mistakes.
Right. And I didn't even, well, I read some books about it, but very few which was good and bad. Bad because I had to discover things that everyone knew. But on the other hand, I had a set of techniques that I invented myself, and it helped me to do things that
you're doing
quite
now.
unusual.
Yes. What you define as your main difficulties to start working with porcelain?
Materials was one of the difficulties, because it was before internet. I mean,
I know.
Before today's internet, you couldn't buy much, because now we buy clay all over the world.
Yeah.
In England, in Great Britain, in France, even in Australia.
And you work with what kind of clay you work with? It's from where?
Many different porcelains, depending on what I need to show. We use clay that is more, less white, more masculine, more substantial, or we use bone china, which is very white, or we use so-called Parian body, which is much more transparent. And we also use black porcelain.
Really?
If you snap it, it's black inside, which is interesting because it's very interesting to paint it. first thing when you discover some field where you can work, like figurative sculpture or porcelain or flowers. First of all, you're just drunk with opportunities. You can do so much stuff.
Yeah, that's right.
Like when you work with ceramics or porcelain, you can do pretty much anything. And of course, you want to do everything.
Yeah.
Immediately. So same with sculpture. And it's such a great feeling when you start something new and you see like opens, how much opens for you. Porcelain is always imperfect. When you go to a museum and see really good pieces of porcelain of 18th century, which was probably the best, it can be Moysés or it can be something French, German, Dutch, any. The pieces are usually imperfect. They have cracks. The plates that are shown in the museum, they warped. And it's so warm because of this. Sometime if I retire, I'll write a book, Imperfections, Porcelain and Imperfection. Because there are so many things that you can tell about it. And how the, for example, that they have pinholes in the glaze or cracks, and then when they paint over, they use a crack as, for example, as a trunk of a tree.
That's what I do in my paint. That's right.
And it's very, I mean, it's so human and so warm. And when I see Mikasa plates now that are ideally, I mean, it's like
flat.
Steel, flat, that no mistakes, nothing. I mean, it's fine, but it's cold. It's very...
I understand. Agora, ele acabou de me dizer algo que eu fiquei até emocionada, porque a exigência que se tem com relação a um artista é muito grande. E o que ele acabou de trazer aqui foi algo que eu costumo falar muito com vocês, que são as imperfeições que acontecem na porcelana. Então, um grande artista, um mestre da porcelana, que já trabalhou em Moysés, que já trabalhou em Sèvres, que já fez obras por Hermitage, acaba de trazer exatamente essa questão do quanto existe de humano na porcelana ao mostrar um defeitinho, ao mostrar qualquer defeito. Isso é uma coisa que acontece sempre e que faz parte da arte da porcelana. É uma arte muito antiga, é uma arte muito nobre, mas traz em si essas imperfeições que são próprias de quem está fazendo algo à mão. Então, isso sempre vai acontecer na porcelana, é algo que sempre eu falo com vocês a respeito dessas pequenas imperfeições que de repente se transformam. Uma imperfeição, ela pode se transformar numa borboleta, ela pode se transformar num ramo, então isso sempre vai acontecer. Isso que ele acabou de dizer aqui é uma coisa muito interessante, porque realmente escutar isso de um grande mestre é confortável para todos nós, que queremos trabalhar com a porcelana, que queremos trabalhar com a química que existe e com a física que existe, toda a engenharia que existe dentro de um forno de queima de massa de porcelana, com as tintas de porcelana, com todos os tipos de material que a gente trabalha, então isso sempre vai acontecer.
When I start working on some flower, which is interesting for me, I disassemble it, scan it in my computer and analyze how it looks, how it works. If you catch the substance, you catch how they work, like more like scientific, it starts looking like real flower. If you want real stuff, you have to understand it. The best drawings by Leonardo da Vinci are when he studied something as a scientist, as a kind of proto-scientist. He wasn't really a scientist, but when he studies things, his drawings are much better, because it has a lot of meanings inside.
So what you're saying to me now is the study and the knowledge is the substance for the art.
Absolutely, absolutely. The artist is not the combination of eye and hand. You have to understand it deeply. And this is the work of artists, understanding and then sharing it with your piece. And I'm crazy about science. I read about science all the time. It's
interesting,
my main kind of one of my main interests. And I regret that I'm not a physicist that I wanted to be. But many great scientists were also in arts, and vice versa. Really great artists understood science because it's the same thing.
Yeah.
The art, we have life experience. We learn when we live. We watch outside world, and it makes some picture inside of our brain, and it helps us think and understand. And art is kind of concentrate of this knowledge about our outside world, and also as a artist can share his or her life experience with the person. It's like understanding what is some abstract ideas, for example. What is round thing? It can be a soccer ball, a football, or it can be a pencil, or a sun, or even such basic things, but also a lot of other stuff about psychology, about things like this.
It's amazing because when you said that you're not mystical at all, I'm not also. I don't like anything that goes beyond the reality. I love the reality. Good. And I know that everything can be made and can be understood about the reality. So
this is important statement. By the way.
I think so too. Because sometimes I hear someone saying, oh, "You have a gift," and I say, "I think it's more an effort than a gift. I think it's much more an effort than a gift." So everybody can reach that gift with efforts. So
I totally agree.
That's why I was asking. That's why I got emotional when you talked about science. That's what I think. Absolutely agree with the importance of science for everything in life. If I have to develop myself, if I have to evolve myself in any kind of area, in any area of my life, I have to give the importance for the knowledge. That's what I was trying to say at first, because
totally agree.
It's not stimulating someone if you say to them that, oh, this guy has a gift.
Oh, absolutely.
Because if you have a gift, nobody can reach it.
Absolutely.
Because it's, you know.
And it's something connected to this. Often asked, when do you have your inspiration to create your pieces?
Yeah, that's right.
I would say at 9 o'clock in the morning when I come to my studio and start work.
That's right.
It's my job,
yes.
And I'm a professional artist. My inspiration starts there. I can do it. I can switch it on and start working because it's hard work.
Yeah.
I spend a lot of effort.
Yeah.
And if you art is hard work.
Yes, that's
first
right.
of all.
That's right.
Inspiration is for scientists.
That's right. You know, now I know why I came here. Okay. Now I know why I came here, because it's amazing too. This exchange is amazing for me because I don't have many opportunities to talk to someone like you. And so when I hear it from another person, I just contact with the feelings that I have. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
To having
Thank
me
you.
here.
It was very
I'm
good conversation.
so happy to have this this opportunity to be here with you, but I'm glad because I had the idea to ask you to come here. So I'm very happy. Thank you very much about receiving me here. I'm very glad.
I'm blushing again.